Is your mic on this time?
Yes. Guys, we just nearly started this episode and my mic wasn't even plugged in. So for the past half an hour, we've been trying to figure out why it sounds so bad. Meanwhile.
Okay. Well, this is episode 2, and I feel like that came around really quickly.
Yeah, this week, I don't know. For me, it's been such a blur this week, crazy.
You've had a tough week.
I've had a tough week. I feel like I should just address it now, get it out the way. I think a lot of people probably already know this. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen, or any of my family members, but my grandpa passed away last week on the 1st of October. And yeah, it's just been a really weird time for us. It's as a family, just, going through this whole process of losing someone. It's kind of the first major loss we've experienced as a family. And also, I think...
Well, your grandpa lived with you.
Yeah, I was going to say it's particularly difficult because my gran and granddad live on our property and have done for about the past 15 years. So, I think I mentioned this in the previous episode, but I'm not exactly one that deals well with change. And so this has been a massive change. Everything just feels really different. So it's probably been, I'd say, one of the toughest weeks of my life so far. Sorry, but that was really deep.
Sorry.
It's okay, girl.
I mean, yeah.
But, it is hard, but we such a really tight-knit, strong family, and that makes the biggest difference. So, we've got each other to lean on, and I'm grateful that I was here.
Yeah, that's the silver lining of you getting stuck in South Africa is
Absolutely.
that you got to be with your family through this. I wish I could be with you guys. I'm sorry.
But I don't want to dwell on it too much because it'll make me sad. I think, obviously on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we released this podcast last week and the response has been overwhelming. I never expected it. I don't know about you.
It's been awesome. I've got a stat. I don't know if you know this yet, but I think we're officially, after episode 1, in the top, I think 18% of podcasts in the world.
Yeah, and there's a lot of podcasts.
So that's pretty awesome. Thank you. I'm so grateful for that.
3 million or something, 3 million active podcasts I saw. So I never expected that. I must be completely honest. I haven't actually listened to the episode yet because I was so nervous that there was going to be something I said and then, I don't know. Anyways, I listened to the beginning purely to listen to what music Kelvin had chosen to start this thing off with, which, it sounded like we came from Texas. We were cowboys. I don't know why you chose
you didn't like the intro
jingle.
Song.
I didn't think it fits this podcast. Me and my mom were what the heck?
It was so for me, it was if you close your eyes and this music started playing and it started building and it was kind of like the opening scene in a movie, an action hero, light shining and we were walking out and it was dun 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 dun. It was like a gladiator kind of vibe.
What was that cartoon with the little dog? It was scary.
Snoopy. Oh, Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog. That's what it sounded like desert,
Muriel.
those things. What are those things that roll through the desert dust balls? Tumbleweed. That's what I got the vibe. I was desert and tumbleweed.
I'm on a winning streak today. Guys, the sun hasn't even risen yet and I'm hitting these words. I'm killing it.
You actually are. So anyways, that's the vibe I got. I think we need to change that up. Hopefully it'll be different this time. Or maybe we should leave it in and then
I'll change the song.
Everyone can concentrate on that and see what they think.
You're wondering why we have a different intro song today? That's why. Well, we need to find one. We need to get someone to make us a cool one that's completely original.
Babe, I saved and sent you tons, and I don't understand why you didn't even consider any of my options because they were completely different to what you chose. I honestly was this is not even actually what he's done. But I didn't even say anything to you till today because I was you know what? You edited the whole thing. For me, this week's just been crazy.
It took me 6 hours to edit. People don't realize.
No, I know, but that's just because of this the fact that like we're recording from such opposite ends of the world,
I
and
know, but there was so much, like, intricate little things that I had to do. I had to, like, balance all of our audio levels. I had to create these hard limiters where it was like we didn't get too loud. I had to cut out these little pieces where your mic and, like, our connection was just kinda buzzing out. On top of that, submitting the podcast to all these platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. That's a process. I had no idea about this stuff. I had no idea we needed to like get a hosting network. I had no idea we needed to submit this stuff. So
I mean, I wouldn't either, to be honest. Like, I've like literally got no idea when it comes to technology. So I want to learn, but this week was just, yeah, I haven't even had like the time to either listen to this whole thing. But I'm really grateful for everyone that has. And just, yeah, just the general response. Like, I've had such nice messages. I'm sure there were a lot of people that didn't enjoy it, but I've only had positive feedback, and I didn't really think people would care that much.
no, I'm excited and I really appreciate it as well. Thank you. I think it's a good lesson though as well in terms of you guys have been incredibly supportive, but even when you start something new in life, even if people aren't supportive, you just got to keep grinding. You got to stay focused and stay in your lane because people won't always support it. So as grateful and as appreciative as we are, we still got to stay just focused on what we're trying to do and the end goal.
You know, when you like have zero expectations for something. I mean, I didn't really
I've always
have.
got expectations though.
Yeah, Calvin's. Oh my
We've
gosh.
got completely different mindsets. See, so like
Hmm.
starting this podcast for me, I have to have end goals. And I think for Courtney, it's about not that I'm not having fun, but for you, it's more like let's see where it goes, and
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
see,
gonna have
but
fun
I
with it.
prefer having that attitude because then I avoid disappointment. It's probably actually not the greatest way to look at life, but I feel like if I don't put too much pressure on it, then I can't be disappointed if only four people listen because I didn't expect over 1,000 people or whatever it was, like thousands.
It's just like a constant need to want to improve. So each episode for me, it's like how can we get better? How can we? I've got like
Yeah.
a goal focused mindset in that
And it's
sense.
kind of crazy because we hit the goal. I mean, you gave me, I'm not gonna give numbers, but you gave me a rough estimate of what you expected, and I was like, what? No ways. And then it happened. So I guess, yeah. Anyways, not to go on too much about that.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, we have these little notes that we make to like a broad outline, and Kelvin said here, thank you, bye, danke, gracias, grazie mille, merci beaucoup, and
Grazie
then,
mille.
oh, okay,
Prego.
and then thank you very fucking much. So
Dude,
there.
thank you very fucking much is what I wanted to say. I was walking yesterday. I do these walks in the morning. That's like a new thing I started from quarantine. They're called my wandering walks. And I just go and I wonder about the world.
Okay,
I just go and wander around and I just think and listen to
that's weird.
music and podcasts. It's not weird. It's actually the coolest thing I think I've
Okay.
implemented in my life so far.
It's funny
And
because you used to hate walking, but okay.
I hate walking and my
You
back's
hate
dead at
walking.
the end of the day.
I don't really understand
Staying
this.
active and being kinetic is what like gets my thoughts running. And I realized this again yesterday because I remembered this is how I used to study in high school for the only subject I did study for, which was art. The theory of art when the exams were coming up and I had to study like Van Gogh and all that stuff. Is it Van Gogh or Van Gogh? What do you
I
say?
don't
Everyone says
know.
it. Don't come at me, guys, whatever. You know who I'm talking about, the dude that cut his ear off. Um, and the way I would study that is I'd walk around the living room. So I think, yeah, doing these little walks in the morning is how I like get my brain going and I just kind of run through a bunch of thoughts and like think about to tie off that tall story I just did. That's why I wrote that in the notes because I was just feeling super grateful while I was walking and I
Oh.
was like, geez, thank you very fucking
I'm just
much, guys.
also really happy that the audio is good because so many people like it sounds like you're in the same room, which is so cool. I hope it sounds like that this week because my network's not so great for some reason.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think the audio is going to be good in this one because your connection is not.
it's not good.
The South
I
African
actually,
connection lets you down sometimes, okay? It's
yeah,
just something we
yeah.
deal with.
Load shedding, Wi-Fi problems, water restrictions. whatever. Yeah, that was the other thing you've also put down here is that like a lot of people kind of assumed we were in the same place. And then there were a lot of questions about the whole long distance, which I think we should go into because I think there's a few people that don't actually realize our journey with being in a long distance relationship. Like it's kind of crazy because our whole relationship is founded. I mean, we started dating long distance. That's how it started. So we started dating beginning of 2014, and I went to university from 2014 to 2016. And throughout that time, we were living in different cities, 2 hour plane ride away.
But worth saying that we were seeing each other like once a month at least
Well, that was yeah okay. So the longest period of
in the
time before
beginning to make it
now,
work.
yeah, before this lockdown, the longest period we've gone away from each other is 2 months or just over 2 months.
No, wasn't it
Yeah,
4 months at the
no,
last Olympics?
nope.
Or it was 2 months and then I came home for like
Yep.
2 weeks and then it was like another 2 months. Okay,
Pill, don't
well,
argue with me on time because you have absolutely zero concept of it. It was 2 months. That's the longest.
hmm.
Or maybe 8, 9 weeks. We started this relationship on long distance. And like, honestly, I think that's helped a lot now.
Can I just say, sorry to interrupt you, that we didn't start dating because you went to college and we were like, oh, this is kind of weird. Let's just keep talking and see what
We were
happens.
seeing
But
each
we,
other.
yes, but then you left and we hadn't made a decision to date yet. And then I had to come win you over. I had to fly in. Tell that story.
Yeah. No, well, the thing is that like,
I had to fly to her
I
and win
just
her
I
over.
don't really make
It's romantic.
I wish you still did things like that for me. You used to come and like surprise me and say, "Oh
What?
gosh,
How do you want me to surprise you? I'm literally like trapped in America.
figure it out."
How about you come surprise me?
Do you know how many times I've
What's up
like
with that?
pictured you walking through the door through lockdown and being like, "Oh my gosh, he's home." So many times. I was like on
I
my
would
birthday
literally be banned from America if I
in
did that.
August, I was so convinced. I don't know how it was happening, but I was like, he's gonna come surprise me. But he never did. Anyway, but back to the point. We were definitely like exclusively together. We just hadn't like put the label on it or whatever. Back in the day, I guess that was like a whole thing. You had to get asked out.
Facebook official. You have to be Facebook
Yeah,
official.
so he like flew down one night and my friends had to like get me out of my room somehow. And this was like quite late. This was 9. And one of my best friends, Tash, she was like, "You need to come help me with my art or something." And I was like, "Oh gosh, really? This what a like mission." But anyways, so off I went, sitting in her car. I guess she was out and she was like acting weird. I should have picked it up because I know her. I mean, I know her so well. Anyway, he put this whole sign up on my bedroom door. Some really cringy long question.
Okay, thanks for that. But anyway,
Do you
it
remember
was
what it said?
yes, of course I do.
Oh,
It was, will you be my girlfriend? Open this door. If yes.
imagine
And that
I
would have
just
been
like
really awkward if
proposed.
you said if you were like, actually I'm not feeling the same way. I would have been stuck inside your you would have slept in the lounge, I would have been
Yeah.
stuck in your room. It would have been incredibly awkward.
But I was literally like not expecting it at all. And like I'm a hard person to surprise.
The part that you wouldn't expect is that you were in your room, your friend asked you to quickly help her get something out the car. In that like 5 minutes that you left the room, I snuck in. I just stuck the page up on the door and then closed your door. Why would you expect in 5 minutes someone to randomly enter your bedroom? It's actually kind of scary.
I don't really it's actually crazy. Anyways, I opened the door, obviously said yes, and then oh yeah, so that was like the start of it. That was in May. And then I came home in 2018 back to Durban where Calvin was living, but we still stayed in like I came back lived with my parents because I was doing my honors, still studying. You were swimming. You were traveling so much. I think that was the most you honestly traveled. There was Commonwealth, and then we traveled, and then you were in Turkey modeling for a season for a bit, and then you went to Greece randomly. Like there was a lot of shit happening in those 2 years. Do you even remember that? No.
Yeah, there was like a year or two where I was out of the country every single month. And I'm very grateful that swimming's been a huge contributor to this. And I've got to see a lot of the world through my swimming. But I think it's 23 countries total that I've
Yeah,
been to
so
so
cool.
far.
We kind of went to the next like extreme and lived to then yeah, then we were living together last year in 2019, moved in together. It's so weird because yeah, it's like you go from long distance to that. This is going to be the deciding factor on whether we'll work is if we can live together. And I feel as if we the best when we're living together. Like our relationship is at its healthiest when well, I mean, I suppose that makes sense. I did want to mention though that long distance has honestly like it's so shitty, and I know everyone always says like, "Oh, how do you do it?" and like, "How do you cope?" and whatever, whatever. Honestly, I think the fact that we started our relationship off on that foot, we learned how to communicate on such a different level, like such a deep level where we got to know each other really, really well. Like just beyond just having like a physical connection and relationship, which is kind of normal at such a young age. I think it's so easy to forget that aspect.
Whilst we've also been young, we've also made it a priority that we still chase our individual goals, and there go the hottie dogs again.
Sorry, guys.
They're gonna be, frequent guests in the
Yeah,
podcast.
they are. But yeah, no, you're right.
That's how you get woken up every single day in Durban.
That's the other thing is that like we had this space to kind of develop into our own
Still
people,
grow.
learn how to be independent. Like we had our own lives, and it's super grateful for that. We never stopped each other from chasing one another's dreams. We both had like a lot of respect that this is what I had to do, that's what you had to do. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll just kind of go with the flow. And I think you never know until you try. Like that's what I also always say to people.
There was a stage when you were considering coming back to Durban
Mm,
out of college, and we were like, "No, you need to if your plan was to leave Durban and go study somewhere else, you should carry that on and
mm,
not you shouldn't change that for this
yeah,
relationship." And I think
I
making
hated
those kind
first
of
year.
decisions when you are young, putting yourself first ahead of the relationship, but not in a weird way, just in a way in terms of making sure that you're still fulfilling like your destiny and just doing what you were supposed to do. Because
Yeah.
sometimes when people do that and then down the road, sometimes they like resent their partners for holding
Mm.
them back.
I was really miserable, like, after my first year. I was at Stellenbosch University, and I found it really difficult that first year. And I'm so freaking grateful and happy that everyone pushed me to carry on, Calvin included. Like, I think you would have loved me to have come home, but you knew, as you said, like, you never want to have that resentment in the future. And that was my plan before we met. So I'm really happy I stuck it out. And my second and third
Yeah.
year were incredible. My third year was like one of the best years of my life.
I think it's great that you had that experience because
Yeah.
I think it's cool that one of us at least had the college experience.
Mm. Yeah. You
It
kind
gives
of
us
live
more.
vicariously through me, but then you've had a whole load of experiences that I've like, jeepers, would have killed to have too. I don't know. We've lived like very different, very, very different lives.
But surely that's gonna make this podcast good because we're gonna
Well, I hope
come
so.
at angles that are so unique and with such
Yeah.
different perspectives.
But anyways, my point being actually back to where I was going with this thought was that that's really helped us now in this time in knowing that we're going to be okay and it's going to be fine, and that long distance doesn't have to be the end of the world. It's just a situation. They say, oh, how do you do it, and like blah blah blah, and I'm like, but what's the like what are the choices here?
Yeah, it just kinda comes down to if you really love this person and that's kinda like your
Exactly.
person,
Then what are the
you'll
options?
make it work because
Like you can't break up with them, so you just got to figure it out. It's just
well,
a
you can
shitty
break up with them,
circumstance. Well, if you know that that's your person and that's who you're meant to be with, like you probably shouldn't break up with them. I would figure it out. Like don't let long distance scare you. Last year we obviously moved in with each other, and like I said, I think that's when our relationship was just the best. Did you piss me off? Like yes, a lot.
why am I getting targeted right now?
Well, because it needs to be relatable. Like this is
This is
real life.
becoming a theme.
And
This
Cullen would
is
walk
the
in.
second podcast in a row where you've targeted me and you're
Did I
trying to
do
throw me
this the
under the
last
bus.
time? Oh.
Yeah, it's
But
becoming
anyways,
a thread.
I'm sure so many girls can relate to the story. Like he would walk in from training and just like you would undress on the way to the bathroom.
I feel like I disagree with this.
No, it's Calvin. How many times did I say like, why is there a sock here and why is this lying on the floor?
Hmm.
Yeah. all the
I'm
time.
not
And
sure.
every morning I'd go and make my tea. You'd obviously gone in way before to make a protein shake. There would be protein powder everywhere. It's like you were closing your eyes when you did it or something.
Nah, yeah, that's a problem. I
Yeah,
got
and
shaky
then
hands.
and
I
then
got shaky
I would
hands. What must I do?
I actually should share this video. I wish we had like a forum I could share pictures and videos because the one day I was like,
Well,
no,
there's gonna
fuck
be a visual
this.
version soon, so when we have
And
the YouTube version.
yeah, but I've got this video, but I was like, fuck this. You are going to come home and clean this shit up because if you know protein powder, like, and you put that stuff sticks, hey? And I made him after training literally get on his hands and knees and scrub this protein. Do you remember that off the floor? Because I was like,
Mm-mm.
how do you not remember this? Are you like,
I don't
okay,
remember this.
okay, I'll send you the video. He was
I think
so,
I block out bad memories.
but I mean, I know there's like a ton of things that would piss you off that I would do. Like, you know, actually,
I don't think you did.
I don't think I
I
did.
think you were a dream to live with. You cooked my food, you, like, cleaned up after me, it was incredible.
I do love cooking for Calvin because he loves eating. There's nothing better than cooking for someone that loves food.
Well, there's also nothing worse than having a good cook live with you and then leave, and now me having to try and create food at that quality.
I know I did write all the recipes down in the book, but I don't think you've ever consulted them once since.
No, I'm not a recipe guy.
And I'm like, Calvin, I wrote it down in the book if you just read. I'm like a homemaker at heart. Like that is just where I feel most comfortable. Like I love looking after people and, like my favorite thing ever was when you would go out, even if you had like shit to do in the evening, you could come home and I'd have like all the candles, like nice, good vibes, favorite meal cook, clean house. Like I love looking after people.
Life's all about the good vibes, I'm all about that.
Yeah.
Speaking of reading books, what are you reading? You just got a new one?
Babe, we weren't speaking about reading books.
We were.
No, we
You
weren't.
said a recipe book and I wouldn't read it, and then that made me think of your book.
No, that wasn't it.
Was that a good transition into another subject?
Okay. Well,
Was that not a good transition?
no, that was awful.
Transitioning in podcasts is like an art form.
No,
We
this
gotta
is what it's
learn how to jump from subject to subject.
it has to kind of be relative, but this is what it's like talking to Calvin. This is what I live with. So I hope people understand. Like all of a sudden, he hasn't even been listening to me probably for the last 10 minutes. Speaking about reading, like, are you kidding? Will you talk about
That's the
your books? Because
ADHD for you.
I know you're clearly very excited to talk about your books.
So during quarantine, I got this book called Mythos by Stephen Fry, and it's about Greek mythology. It's all the stories of all the different gods, demigods, and Olympians. I've always been super fascinated with Greek mythology. So that book kind of sent me down a rabbit hole. And then I got Circe by Madeline Miller. And then I got her other book, The Song of Achilles. So I got some reading to do and I got a lot of Greek mythology to get through. But actually that reminds me of another story. And this is a bit of a tall story because we need some context. I'm busy doing a project with Bulgari and they launched a new fragrance. And the way they launched it was they sent me this Oculus set. And if you don't know what that is, it's this VR set that you've probably seen it. You put it on your eyes and there's these like remotes in your hands and you're completely immersed in this virtual reality. So I got this box, put it on, and I had to climb a mountain in the snow with the like main dude at Bulgari, if I forget his name, but he was like talking about this new fragrance. And I have ice picks and I'm like climbing this mountain. And then I have to break open this kind of ice block. And inside there was the new fragrance. So that was crazy and weird. We're definitely kind of living in the future with this kind of stuff happening.
Yeah, just also to explain to people, like Bulgari, this whole campaign was this whole like exploration type of thing, and they were meant to go on this trip. I don't know where you guys were going, but they were taking the models. Were you modeling or were you doing this as like a
It was modeling, but I was also going to shoot some of the content.
so Orphe was going on this like great expedition, whatever, with these people, which you were super excited about for so long. Like honestly, I mean, you didn't even really care. You just wanted to be like, traveling and going on an
I
adventure.
love adventures.
He loves adventures. So like I don't know why I'm talking to you like you're in the third person. But anyways, the whole campaign or the job or anything, it was just the fact that you got to go on this little adventure shame and then it got taken away from you and you had to do it virtually.
Pretty cool concept though. That was like a good Hail Mary save from them.
I assumed you guys would all go, you know how you do these PR trips, and I think you see it a lot with the girls and like makeup brands and Tarte Cosmetics and all these things, and they take these chicks off to like Maldives for whatever, and you get all that content. So I don't really get how
I
this is
think it
gonna.
was going to be like that kind of vibe,
It
but
was, but
now
now you got the virtual reality, so you put the goggles on. I don't have the goggles or those whatever those things are. So how do I see?
I'm still doing the shoot. I think the shoot's today. The shoot's still getting done, so there's still going to be content.
Well, that's good. At least you remember that. Because last week, Kelvin went off surfing and then realized he had to shoot 30 minutes, didn't have underwear, a wallet, shoes, or anything.
Oh my god! I had a shoot last week for this European magazine,
Yeah.
um, and I was surfing with Alex. And when I go surfing, I'm wearing board shorts, so I don't have underwear on. I normally don't take shoes because I'm literally just going to be on the beach. And I completely forgot that I had this shoot after. And so I had to quickly run to Costco and buy underwear. And yeah, it was a vibe though.
Up on a shoot, like without underwear, obviously. He didn't have a wallet. He didn't have shoes. I mean, you must have looked like, I don't even, I can't deal with
And I
you.
was kind of sunburned
Oh
from
my goodness.
surfing. But I'm professional. I was there
Yo,
early.
you're
I
so
gave
professional
them,
and you like rocked up in board shorts with no shoes on. Did you even have a
hey,
shirt?
that's just my vibe. I had a shirt.
Okay,
And
well,
that's
that's
just my
good.
vibe. I was still acting in a professional manner. I came with a good attitude. I made everyone laugh. We had a good time. The shots came out awesome.
Yeah, I'm
Hopefully,
excited to see those. Concept was kind of like, well, this is what you were explaining it to me. It's like Peaky Blinders. I don't know if anyone's watched that series, amazing series. And I'm obsessed with that time era, the fashion and just everything about it was so cool. So I'm super excited to see how they turned out.
it was a very interesting concept. It was Peaky Blinders in the ocean. It
That's
was
so
like
cool.
coats in the ocean, if that makes any
Did they
sense.
wet
I
the
don't think it
coats?
does. Oh, so actually one of the coats that was like really expensive. I think it was the most expensive coat the stylist had there. It was like 5K dollars. I was standing in the shore and it was like wetting my pants. And then the photographer was like lay down in the break, like lay down in the water, like fully get submerged. And I looked at the like PR people and I was like, can I do this? And they were like unsure and they were quickly texting like their bosses to find out if I could get this coat wet.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a shoot, there's a bunch of different clothing, but you generally try and keep the tags on and keep the clothes nice because the stylist is just borrowing them for the shoot. So you try to look after the clothing.
Sorry, the stylist will go and pull clothes from like a ton of different brands once they get the whole design concept of what the shoot is. So yeah, I mean, all those clothes will generally go back, which is why I was saying like you got to have underwear on.
Tall story short, we got the coat wet and we weren't supposed to. And they were very upset.
Were they upset?
They were super upset because the dye started running.
Oh,
And
no.
yeah, so they're probably gonna have to deal with that. But the photographer, hey, it was all on the photographer, and hopefully the shots come out cool. I guess the pressure's on me now. The shots better be good enough.
But those photographers, they get super passionate as well with
Yeah, they're
like,
just in the moment.
yeah, when they're in the moment. I mean, and like, I say this from my experience of being on set with you, not doing this myself, of course, but like being on set with you, with watching photographers in their element, it's just like crazy. You know, they'll just, yeah. There's no boundaries
No,
with what they're gonna do. Um,
you just yeah, they throw things at you and you just go with it. But we just got so sidetracked. Wow. I started this whole VR story because
oh my
I was
gosh.
reminded about by my Greek books to tell this story about the VR. So let me jump back in. So I did this whole experience, whatever. That's why I got the VR set. But then I was exploring with it because it's insane, by the way. It's actually really cool. So I downloaded this thing where I could do a tour of ancient Greece, like virtually, like walking around the ruins and stuff. And that was absolutely insane.
Do you know what's so what's so funny with that also is the fact that, like, I bet you so many guys are listening to this thinking, like, the first thing I'm going to do is hop on virtual reality, play Call of Duty. There's Calvin roaming through ancient Greece, whatever, like on his VR. You're so
But
weird.
but then I did get this. It's not Call of Duty, but there's
It's
this
similar.
like fighting game. It's called Onward in virtual reality, and it's super super realistic. Like they teach you how to change the magazines and the gun and everything. And you got to hold this gun and you got to cock it and you got to like aim with your hands. Insanely immersive. And when I was going through the tutorial, they were showing me how to, get the gun ready, how to switch to knives, how to switch to grenades, how to pull the trigger on the grenade and throw it. And then it was showing me how to
Revive.
revive myself or like increase my health. And the issue with this was they told me to reach into my vest. I had to pull out the syringe. And
A needle.
I have the biggest phobia of injections ever. And this thing looked so realistic that I started getting wobbly. I had to take the headset off and sit down for like 20 minutes because I was blacking out.
And you kept dropping it, the needle. You couldn't
And
stick
I
it in.
kept dropping it in the game because I couldn't inject myself. It was too realistic. I didn't get past the tutorial yet, no. But
But
the steel
anyway,
part of the injection was so sharp. It looked so realistic.
well, that's because it's an injection. Kelvin is like, it's, I don't know, I don't even know, like, when people say I've got a phobia of needles, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool. I don't think people realize just how, like, bad your phobia of needles is. It's like probably the biggest fear you
I
have.
faint.
He
Yeah,
can't,
it's by
it's not
far.
even needles, it's hospitals. It's just like the whole vibe. I mean, last year I had to take him to, I sound like your mother, but I had to take you to the physio, and the physio was at the hospital, so we had to walk through. And obviously on our way, like, someone comes with, he's probably going to faint with me talking about this, but someone came wheeling through, their drip was attached, you know how they do in
Oh,
hospitals.
trips fuck me up.
And he had to sit down on the couch for like 10 minutes. He was like shivering and sweating. I had to cover him with my coat. I had to literally take off my coat, put it over him, like try calm it down.
You're
Just
making me sound like such a bitch.
oh no. And then, like,
I
when
really am though with needles. I freak out and I don't know what it is.
your tonsils, your wisdom teeth out in last December, like, he won't let me share any of these videos. I feel like if there's enough demand, I feel like I have to share them because they are so funny. Like, when he came out of the anesthetic and he had a needle in his arm, he literally was like passing out. He was telling all the nurses to, like, he was literally like flicking everyone. Like, the guy across him, like, just looked at him and he literally like pulled the zap sign at him. Do you remember that? Like, poor little old man was just like sitting in his bed, just like flicked him.
Firstly, I was super high on the anesthetic still.
But anyways, and I had to, like, even before you went under, like, I went down. I mean, I chatted to the nurse, but I went down to like the last possible room I could with you in the bed just before they. I think I even watched them actually giving you the anesthetic. Like, she even let me come past that line, and I wasn't even allowed to be there.
Well, I was fighting it as well. They were like trying to hold me down to inject me, and I was like freaking out. I just don't like injections. And you're gonna have to give me a bit of sympathy right now because being a professional athlete, we get tested like literally every 2 weeks. And they take your blood and you have to pee in a cup. And by the way, a lot of people don't know this. They have to look at your genitals when you're peeing to make sure it's all like okay. So if you got stage fright, again, like I do, not a very pleasant experience.
One time it took you 6 hours to pee, and I was like, just
Whoa, whoa, whoa. It was like 4 hours.
how it was. I promise you it wasn't, because they got
And let me
like,
preface it this because they came at 4 a.m. to test me. They can come at any time. That's the whole point, is it's supposed to like catch you off guard. They're supposed to there's no schedule. They can just come whenever they like.
just pause. I feel like you need to explain this better for people that don't understand. You're supposed to submit a roster basically of where you're going to be every single day of the month. It is ridiculous, and I don't really understand how people are supposed to do that. But I suppose when you are an athlete, you kind of not really doing anything except for swimming or training, yeah, you give them like a timetable of where you are every single day. So if you leave the country, you have to tell them. If you do this, you have to tell them.
They knew that I was sleeping at home. They came at like 4 a.m. and I just peed. I peed quite a bit in the night and I just peed before they came. So I go down and I let them in at 4 a.m. I'm like half asleep and I'm like, guys, I just peed. You're gonna have to give me some water or just come sit down in the lounge and just give me a second. On top of that, I have a lot of stage fright with peeing in front of them. They're like a meter away from you, staring at your genitals. It's a weird experience. And I've always battled with it with drug testing. So that mixed with having peed already, it took like 4 or 5 hours.
I think it took longer. And I didn't even realize because I was at your house that night too. And this is actually really funny. I came down, I don't know, like, I don't know what you were doing. I was so confused. And I came down at like 8 a.m. And I remember being like, where the heck is everyone? I was like calling you, like, no answer. So then I'm like now looking in all the rooms and I opened the bathroom door when you were in there with the guy looking over your shoulder, trying to, you were trying to pee and you like looked at me, you were like shushing me out and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like what is happening? And then I clicked like, oh shit, it's drug testing.
Yeah, my dad was like having coffee with them, trying to keep them entertained so they weren't getting pissed off with me.
He is the best. He like makes them tea. He sits there. He even offered them a drink the one night. And he'll like say,
Yeah.
what do you watch on TV? Because it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, my dad knows I struggle, so he tries to make everyone feel comfortable. What a
Yeah.
legend. This actually happened the one time when I was staying at your house.
Yeah.
And so how this works is if you miss a drug test, you get a point. And if you get 3 points, i.e., you miss 3 tests, you get banned. So it's like a really big deal to miss a test. You don't want to miss a test. And I was at Courtney's house, which was about 45 minutes away, and I'd forgot to update my schedule. It's that intricate. You literally have to say, "Oh, I'm at a friend's house," and I forgot to say on the website that I was at your house. So they came to my house at like 9 p.m.
I mean, I don't know how often you can update it, but you generally do it like once a month and you give them like a broad idea of where you are. But it's so stupid because, I mean, really, how are you going to know where you're going to be every single night of the month? It's retarded. Anyways, carry on.
They came to my house at 9 p.m. and my dad calls me and he says, "Drug testing's here. You've got half an hour to get here, or they're going to mark you absent." And I was like, "Fuck!" And I think we were in bed, like at your house. It
Oh,
was
absolutely. Like 9 p.m. I was well and we were like just about going to sleep. We go to sleep super early.
Yeah, I threw my clothes on. I think I genuinely got a speeding ticket on the way there because I was racing back. It was a 45-minute drive, and I had to get there in half an hour. And I did it. And then I did the test, and they took my blood and my urine and vibes.
Not a fun time. So he can't get past the first level basically of Call of Duty or whatever it is on the virtual reality because he can't inject himself to revive.
With COVID and with all the competitions being cancelled, I haven't been tested in a while, actually, which is probably not good. They should probably be testing everyone. I hope no
Yeah,
one's taking advantage
I feel like it would
of
be
this
the right time.
window.
Don't give anyone an idea.
Don't give anyone ideas, but if you wanted to dope, yeah, I'm sure some people
I
probably
think
are trying.
at your level of the sport now, like it's such a huge concern of everyone's because it's so real. I don't think people realize just how real it is, and it's happening so often. And
Doping is a very real thing. I
mm,
can remember the first big international meet I ever went to was Junior World Championships in Dubai. And I remember when the meet had finished and we were checking out of the hotel, uh, we stayed in a hotel with all like a bunch of different countries. They kind of just rented out the whole hotel for this competition. And we're leaving, and we were walking down the hallway, and I walked past one of the rooms, and they had left the door open. And I remember seeing a little pile of like syringes near the door by the dustbin. At that age already, I was like 17, 18 maybe. So
what from doping?
from doping, yeah, from a different country. People don't realize it's a very real.
I was gonna say that, like, you actually don't realize, but also people that like you would never expect that are getting away with it. There's a lot of that stuff going on.
And it's sad when you're a clean athlete knowing that there are people doing that. It's very frustrating.
Mm.
So If you're listening, please don't ever do that.
No.
Don't ever cheat in anything. There's no
No
quick fix or
shortcuts. No
fast way
shortcuts.
to, yeah, just do things the right way, feel good about it, be positive. Um, what else have you been up to during quarantine? I just spoke a lot about the books I'm reading. What are you reading?
I haven't been reading a lot, but recently I started this book called The Silent Patient, which I've heard a lot of good things about. I actually bought this book for my dad for his birthday, which is today. But I thought I would just like read a few pages just to see what it was about, and then seven
You
chapters
stole
later,
his birthday.
what?
You stole his birthday gift.
Yeah, well, I started reading it. I told him this morning, I was like, and I was trying hard not to bend it either so that it looked new. And then I just confessed this morning. I was like, I got you this present, but I kind of started reading it and I'm really sorry. And he was super chilled about it. He said, no, finish it. He's got a book. But, anyways, apparently it's a really good book. It's like a psychological thriller. So it's right up my street.
Coach studied psychology. I don't know if people know that.
Yeah,
Did
I did.
we spoke about college and we didn't mention what you studied.
I studied, okay, well, I did a BA in social dynamics undergrad at Stellenbosch University, and then I did my honors in psychology after that. That's all. I was about to say,
So
like,
Coach is
I
like
did this and
Coach
that.
is like a psychologist right
I'm
now.
I'm so far from a psychologist. I'm about 4 years from a psychologist, Calf, but
Do
that's
you ever
it.
psychoanalyze me?
Yes, I do all the time. I think he's Calvin's got one of the most fascinating brains. Maybe this is half the reason why I'm like
What?
so in love with you, because your brain is so like it's just developed so differently to so many people I know. It's crazy. I think if you study psychology, you'll probably understand like what I'm saying. He just has almost got like a perfect way of thinking a lot of the time. That's my compliment to you in
Jeez,
this
I've
podcast.
never received such a compliment in my
The
life.
thing is, I've told you this so many times, but you just probably forget.
Well, I just think you're being really biased and really nice.
No, I'm not being biased at all because you
I've
know
got a ton of flaws. What?
you have flaws. I'm just saying the way that your mind works, the way that you get through like hard times and challenges, and how you overcome obstacles, and how you manage to like you went to the Olympics, like all of those. The athlete's mindset is very different, and I'm sure
Fuck, I love this podcast.
you can. No,
Wow, what a
I'm
confidence boost
serious.
I've got right
Even
now. Thank you.
even with other people like in the sport, they think very differently. The athlete's mindset's always been something that's fascinated me, and it's like the complete opposite way to how I think. So I think maybe I see it as like I'm like, wow, that's like the goal. I wish I could think like you
Well,
did.
you considered studying sports psychology
I did.
at
That was
at
like one of my
a
main
stage.
modules. That was like and I loved it. It was one of
I
my
think
favorites.
that would have been weird though.
I think it would have been weird, but like it was also nice because then I could really understand you a lot.
I know, but I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like you trying to figure out what's going on in my head,
Kelvin, not even
swimming
you know
wise.
what is going on in your head. So
Oh, I've got no idea. I'm a visitor. But I don't know if I would have liked you trying to like, you know, when someone's trying to have a conversation with you, but they're like, "So how do you feel?" I don't know if I would have enjoyed you trying to pry information out of me after bad races
oh
or a
no,
hard day of training.
oh,
I
but
think
I
that would have
wouldn't.
got weird.
I wouldn't ever do that. Like I know my boundaries with you, and I know when to press for information, and I usually press for information when I'm not supposed to. Sometimes, a lot of the time. Um,
Well, it's
but
healthy to talk about things.
well, this is the thing. Like I think you probably don't realize, but there have been times where I think I've been able to give some sort of constructive advice to your dilemmas with regards to swimming and sport and, you know, the whole approach towards it.
Here's the thing. I think there's got to be a boundary with listening to people. It goes both ways. Hear me out. People that build you up, sometimes relying on them for your sense of self-worth and confidence will damage you when you don't have them. And in the reverse of that, don't listen to people that bring you down, you know?
Mm. But
When we're chasing goals and when we're chasing dreams, you've got to be the sailor of your own ship. You know, you've got to ride your own wave and you've got to stay in your own
yeah,
lane.
you got to be the same.
Whoa! 3 references smacked.
you've got to be the sailor of your own ship, but you've got to have a good crew on board, like one that you trust. So
Wow,
that's
you
the
just
thing.
came up with an amazing metaphor. That was
No,
beautiful. Thank
but the
you.
thing is that you need to have people that are so honest with you that when they are giving you like confidence boosts or they are building you up or they're tearing you down or whatever the case is, it's coming from a very real place and coming from a place of care and love,
100%.
you know?
100%.
And
But I
I've
also
always
think
been very, very honest with you with that
but I
stuff.
also think that you've got to be a dreamer in life, and you got to think the impossible, and you got to think things that are so big that they scare you and they scare the people around you. When you tell someone your goal and their response isn't like, "Oh wow, you 100% going to do that." If they're a bit iffy or whatever, or like, "Wow, that's ambitious, Calvin." You've got to just be able to still stick to your guns is what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's just you though. Like I don't know, that kind of that idea scares me so much. Like I like to keep my goals like manageable.
I think you got to if we only got one shot at this life, you've just got to try everything and do it all to the best of your abilities.
But this is where I'm saying like this is where you're so different. Is that like you can do that. Like for me that's so scary. I would rather just stay in my little comfort zone. And maybe I'm not going to achieve this massive goals. I don't like it when people doubt me. You love it when people doubt you because it fuels you. Like that does the opposite for me. I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe I can't do that. I need the reassurance. That's like my love language. Like, tell me I'm good at things. Tell me I'm good at life. Okay.
I think
That's
everyone needs reassurance. I think everyone feels like they don't know how to do something or they don't know what they're doing. I think that's something that everyone pretends like they know what they're doing, but no one knows. We're all just trying to figure this all out. As I'm growing older, I'm just kind of feeling like everyone's the same. We're all still kids in a way, and we're all still lost, and we're all still trying to figure each other and ourselves out.
God,
That
bro.
was a little tangent.
That was amazing.
You know, well, that's the whole point of this podcast is we're going to be. I mean, you just got a pretty good insight as to the
How
kind of
your brain
differences between
works.
me and Courtney.
Courtney and I.
So we had some little segues there, but that's pretty much what we're both reading at the moment. I know you wanted to talk about what you found on Netflix.
Well, I got recommended it on Netflix by someone, and I'm sure you've probably heard of it by now, but it's called The Octopus Teacher. It's a documentary. Sounds weird, and I remember saying to Calvin, like, you've got to watch this, and he was like, what the fuck what are you talking about? And I was like, no, you've got to watch this. It's like the most fascinating thing I've ever watched. I watched it 2 nights in a row, literally.
It is unbelievable.
Such a good documentary. I don't want to give it away. Just go and watch it. It's filmed.
Okay, can I give a little synopsis? Okay, in a world. Okay,
No,
for real.
no.
I was gonna do the trailer voice. Okay, so it's filmed in Cape Town, South Africa, which firstly is really cool because that's where not the city we're from, but that's our country. So we obviously feel a lot of pride because in the documentary it portrays really beautiful parts of Cape Town, and it's about this guy who dives in the kelp forests of Cape Town's ocean and meets a octopus.
No, just leave it at that. Like, let them watch it. I don't want to give too much away.
Well, I'm just gonna say this: he builds a relationship with the octopus, and it will blow your mind.
It
I
will blow your
promise you,
mind.
it will blow your mind.
And like he basically finds himself through this relationship that he develops with this octopus, which is the most fascinating creature. I feel like it's a creature no one ever thinks about. It's like you don't
You learn so
kind of
much.
firstly, I'm never eating calamari again. Like I'm done because I'm just gonna think of that cute little octopus. I'm obsessed with it. I want to like cuddle it. It's so cute. It's so cute. And like I always used to think of these things as like so ugly, but they are so intelligent and just incredible. You got to watch it.
I learned so much about them. It
Octopus,
was incredible. Octopus.
octopus, and also the the
The
cinematography.
fuck was that?
That's how you were saying octopus.
It's actually kind of a hard word to say.
Octopus.
Octopus.
The cinematography and like the filming, editing, it is so beautiful. It reminded me of John Florence's documentary. What's that called?
Oh, View from a Blue Moon.
Yes, that kind of
That
like
is also an incredible documentary. One of my favorite in terms of cinematics. I think the production team that did that was called Brain Farm, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
Their work was phenomenal. Just really, really great piece of cinematography. I think we're I think we're nearing the episode. For fuck's sake, we
Just
both
say we
died.
are, because you can't get your mouth about
Okay,
her.
I think we're nearing the end of episode 2.
Yeah, I think this is the end of episode 2. I think this was very much like a continuation of kind of where we left off last week, a little bit more of an introduction. And I'm kind of excited because the next episode, we're going to discuss Hollywood, Los Angeles, like living there, the assumption,
Differences between Los Angeles and Durban, or America and South Africa.
but also, no, not America, Los Angeles specifically, because America is so different wherever you go. Like every state is
True.
completely different. But, and just the assumptions kind of like, you know, that lifestyle and what people think versus what it is and what we know.
And hopefully you're gonna be here soon. I feel like we're creeping up to that possibility coming into fruition.
So our lockdown, I mean, apparently our borders are open. Everything's kind of a little bit blurry still, though. Like, I'm not too sure. If you're listening to this and you've gone to America from South Africa within the last few weeks, please message me and let me know, because I just want people that are kind of in the same boat as me and that can give me some advice, because I really honestly don't even know where to start with it. It's so scary.
Well, I love the idea that you might be here soon. That's really exciting. That is so exciting.
I'll hopefully be getting over there pretty soon.
And then the podcast is gonna ramp up.
Yeah.
Audio
Then
quality is gonna be higher. Visuals are coming. Let us know if you even want the visuals. I think that's gonna add a really fun element to it.
I had a few messages of people saying that they really wanted visuals.
It's coming.
I'm excited for the
You're gonna
guests.
get caught over here. And we've got guests coming.
That's going to be super cool because we have just interesting people to talk to, which will be
Yeah,
fun.
we got some friends that are keen to jump on already. And I think that's gonna be really interesting. But for now, that's it. Thank you so much if you've listened this far. It means the world to us. Give us a 5-star review and a little comment if you don't mind. I think it helps a lot. We've got a goal of trying to get to the top 200 of podcasts. That's a huge goal.
If you've listened up to this point, let us know you listened up to this point, because I do this with Calvin because he never listens to my voice notes fully, and I'll like say something random at the end. And if he doesn't like comment on it, I'll know that he didn't listen. And you know,
Well, hopefully people listened. What's our outro? We still don't have an outro.
hopefully our outro is just a better song than the last time.
You didn't like the outro song either.
Okay, I don't think it's the same as the intro.
You didn't listen to the outro song. It was different.
I must be honest, I don't know if I'm going to listen to these episodes, because I think if I listen, I'm going to go back and be like, cut this out, cut this out, cut this out, change this, because that's my control freak coming out. So I think if I just like step back.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We all got that fear, but this podcast is real and this is all about being authentic. And that's what we're going to bring when we have our guests on as well. Everyone's just going to have a real, raw, honest conversation and you're going to be a part of it. So, with that, have a good day. Stay healthy, happy, positive. Anything else you want to say, Courts?
Okay, well, have a good day or night, or whenever you're listening to this. And thank you for listening. And we're really excited to
see you next week.